West Ham have dithered, delayed, we've dallied, we've pontificated, and because of that, it looks like somebody else is going to beat us to the signing of the player that we wanted to bloody sign in the first place. What the hell am I talking about? And hold on a second, you're thinking, you said you wouldn't do another video today. It's true, but I am annoyed about this. I'm really, really annoyed. The arrogance of the club that almost thinks, do you know what? We'll hold off on this one. We'll come back in the summer. It's ridiculous. You wouldn't do it anyway. You wouldn't go to a car boot sale and see something that you liked and think, do you know what? I might come back at the end of the day and get that. Well, you might bloody not, because someone might come along and buy it. And that's pretty much what's happened at West Ham right now. I try not to get too disappointed with this stuff. I really don't. I think, well, firstly, my expectations are really low with West Ham, and I think my belief that we will sign a certain player. And I think if your expectations are low, it's hard to be disappointed. Not all the time. I do think that West Ham do. We do buy lots of players. We really do. You can't have it both ways. I keep reading, oh, this is typical. West Ham never sign any players. That's not what's typical about it. West Ham do sign players. What is typical is that we delay, and then someone else comes in and swoops and takes the player that we would have wanted. Now, sometimes we get them. Jean-Claire Todibo's a really, really good example of that. Sometimes we get the players. We really do. But this is not great. Okay, so obviously we're talking about Eli Junior Kroupi, he's been nicknamed the next Kylian Mbappe, right? He ain't going to be that good, is he? Let's be perfectly honest. He plays in League 2 in France for Lorient, and he's been doing rather well. Very, very well indeed. We've spoken about him. We've done a couple of videos this week, and he sort of wasn't on the radar for West Ham to sign at all until, the last week? Tail end of last week, over the weekend. He's not really been on the radar too much. It turns out that West Ham were going to bid £30 million for him, something like that. The structure of the deal wasn't good enough, and I think, and we do this all the time, by the way, and I think we've offered maybe 15 million up front, but we've not really pursued it. But that talks had gone well. Initial talks had gone well between us and the French club. And then we made an offer which they just thought was a derisory offer. And they said, you know what, we'll leave it. We'll just leave it. It's exactly the same with that Banzuzi at the start of the window as well, and any number of players. Now, I think what is really annoying is one of four things is going to happen here. And, three of them ain't going to be West Ham, quite frankly. He's either going to, whilst we're pontificating and saying we might wait until next summer, Bournemouth have made an offer, and they're very keen to get him. Lyon have made an offer, and a club, and this is where it gets a little bit complicated. It doesn't overly matter. I might have had this slightly wrong, but it doesn't. It's West Ham's part that's the important part of the detail. A Brazilian Super League club have bid for him, who are also who are the sister club of Lyon. So he could go to the Brazilian Super League, but also be loaned back to Lyon. Here's what annoys me. Well, it annoys me that we've delayed and waited so long, but what also annoys me is we should be able to outbid any of these clubs. We are West Ham United. We're a Premier League team. We are in the top 16 richest clubs in Europe. 60,000, whatever. I don't even know what it is. 66,000 seat stadium, so on and so forth. And we're haggling over small parts of money. The fact that Bournemouth are interested should mean we should be all over this, because they're pretty good at this stuff at the moment, aren't they? And I guess you could say that it's progress that we're targeting someone like this who is clearly highly regarded. Young player, 18 years of age, I think, ripping it up in the second division in France. But the arrogance that we must have to think, oh, do you know what, we'll come back at a later date, like we're the only show in town. I am mindful not to get too annoyed about this stuff, like I said, because my expectations are low. Also, why do we want transfers? Why do you want to transfer? Why do I want to transfer? I want to transfer because you think it might make the team better. And I think I'm pretty chilled on that part of it, because I think Potter coming in is going to make the team better anyway. I think Somerville's like a new signing. I think Bowen's like a new signing. I think the team will get better anyway under Potter. So, sort of, ultimately, the end goal of any transfer is to make the team better. I think we're going to get that. So I'm pretty chilled on that aspect of it. It is just the fact that I'd rather have not known. I'd rather have that we hadn't, not known, but I'd rather we hadn't have bid for someone and then done it so shoddily and just allowed somebody else to come in and swoop and take the player. And I wonder what part, if as I suspect, this is somebody that's come in Potter's coming with McCauley. All the old players that might have been of interest under the previous regime, under Tim Steidten, they might have been jettisoned. Those dossiers may have been burnt, right, or whatever. And so let's just say that this is McCauley and Potter who have identified this player. I wonder what they think if the club have tried to bid for him, and maybe the club have said to them, we'll go back in the summer. And they might be looking, thinking, well, hold on a second. You can't. I mean, I would suggest get used to that. That will happen again. I think, as I mentioned in the video earlier on, I think there's something to say. We already have a really talented young player at our disposal, and that is Luis Guilherme. And I would like to have seen something happen with him. But so look, for us to buy another one, I just don't know. I don't know, but maybe this kid would have got a better chance at West Ham than Guilherme did, who's maybe just seemed to be part of the old regime. I don't know. Maybe there's something that we yet don't know about that transfer. Who bloody knows? But I just look at this and I think I'm just not really impressed with this, and I do find it difficult to get. Ordinarily, I don't get too disappointed when we miss out on a player who I hadn't heard of a week ago. And that's the truth. That is the absolute truth, right? I had never heard of this kid. Never heard of him. Not going to pretend otherwise. So I think on that sense, it's hard to think, oh no, I was really looking forward to him. Well, I wasn't. I didn't know who he was. It's the wider aspect of how we conduct our transfer business, which is the concern. I am far more annoyed, for example, about Angel Gomez. Because that is a player I'm aware of. That is a player who I didn't even dream that West Ham would have a chance to get. I thought he was brilliant. I honestly, he's just a wonderful, wonderful player. I really love the way he plays. When it was suggested that West Ham might be in for him, not only that, when it was actually confirmed to me that we were going for him. And we made such a bad job of it. And allowed other teams to get ahead of us in the race. That was disappointing, particularly with it being a free transfer. You don't get many chances to get players like that. So this is slightly different to that, but this is not good. I'll tell you now, if we get outbid by a Brazilian team who have got less, what would appear to be less, should have less money than us, should have less draw. This player's in France. Apparently he wants to come to the Premier League. If we end up not being able to do the deal, Bournemouth have been quite canny. Bournemouth said they're not getting into a bidding war. I don't know what they bid. But this does not reflect well on West Ham at all. And maybe, just maybe, like I said earlier, by the time I upload this video, things will have changed. Maybe this video gets old very quickly. I hope it does. But maybe this video doesn't. Maybe what I'm saying here is relevant next season. Maybe just change the names of the players and what I'm saying remains accurate and as a analysis of how West Ham do their transfer business. As I say, it is difficult because it's getting annoyed about something which was probably never going to happen and over a player that I'd never heard of anyway. So it's not that. It's not the particular player, although he looks quite good. I spent a lot of time. Spent half hour, 45 minutes scouting him on Y-Scout, which is the global scouting software. You can look at all these. We do all this stuff, and we're very, very lucky because of Patreon that we've got access to basically scouting dossiers and all that type of stuff. So I looked at him. I think he looks good. He looks really good. So I would quite like him. But West Ham, I mean, come on. It is bad. It really is a bad way to do it. And sometimes it doesn't bite you on the bum. Ibrahim Osman, there was a big outcry when we didn't push that deal forward, and then Brighton went and got him. To be fair, I think he's doing all right. He's over in Holland. He might even be at Feyenoord. He's doing all right this season. But so as yet, it's not been that frustrating that we didn't. But at some point, there's going to be a player who we don't get, and we've looked at within the last year or two, that is going to go on and do wonderful, wonderful things. And it's just going to be absolute frustration. That said, I still think Potter's going to do a good job with whoever he's got, and I think that he'll do. I read some of the comments of people frustrated with James Ward-Prowse coming back. I I think people are just frustrated with the transfer window anyway. You know, I think he'll do an okay job. I think he'll be a decent squad player. I'd rather see him than Guido Rodriguez. So I think it was the right thing to bring him back, and I do think he seems very cerebral. He seems very calculated, Potter. So yeah, I think he'll probably get him in some decent positions. As I said earlier, wouldn't be surprised. But sitting with Ferguson, they wouldn't be surprised if that's something you see. Ward-Prowse supplying Ferguson, because I do think Ward-Prowse is the best deliverer of a ball. Well, a dead ball, certainly. That much is true. But also, used to see him in Southampton. He'd get out in wide areas and he'd put, well, like David Beckham type crosses in. If we can, Potter will be aware of this. If he can get that out of him, I think it's why would we not? But I see. I mean, I think people get frustrated with the transfer window. I saw the comments from the video earlier. Some people are angry that Ward-Prowse is coming back. So, yeah, I'm not. Welcome back, Ward-Prowse. I am very disappointed with the way we've conducted this Eli Junior Kroupi transfer negotiation. Really poor. Really, really poor. Anyway, hopefully I'll upload this now. And then, whatever, come 3-4 o'clock. We'll have signed someone. It'll all be fine, and he won't have gone. Maybe he wants to wait. Maybe he's agreed. Maybe him and his representatives have agreed to wait until the summer and they'll only join West Ham. And that'll be fine too. But if we find out that ticker tape on Sky Sports, we won't be watching it because we'll be watching the West Ham-Chelsea game. But if we find out when it gets close to transfer deadline that he has gone and signed for Bournemouth or signed for Lyon or signed for a Brazilian club, and we've missed out because it's so arrogant. It is so arrogant to think, I'll wait. Oh wait! Honestly, it's like going onto eBay, isn't it? You know, like there's the ticker thing there, and you think, do you know what? I'll wait for the auction to finish. I'll wait for the auction to finish. No one to buy it. Then I'll just go and contact the buyer and get it at my price. And then being surprised when someone goes and buys it. What can you do? Honestly, if this has happened, and I am open to the fact that it might not have done, if this has happened, it's absolutely ridiculous way to do business.